Hey everyone. So, today's episode is a special one because my brother is in it, and he is, I guess, my second guest of the year. And these little episodes that I put up on Fridays are going to be Film Fridays. And, they're not just going to be films, obviously, because in this one, we're talking about Avatar, which is a TV show. And, but other times we will be talking about films. I intended to talk about movies on this episode, but we got sidetracked with Avatar, so I just went with it. And next week, I already have one booked. I already have a topic. I already have a guest or guests, multiple. And so, yeah, I'm rebranding Movie Club to Film Friday because I like alliteration. It's as simple as that. So I hope y'all like the new name. And I hope you like this first installment of Film Friday. Let's get into this gig. All right, everybody, welcome back to the In My Head podcast. And today I have my brother. His name is Jentry, and I don't know. I say this will be a short episode, but I guess we'll see. So I guess Jentry can introduce himself.
Just start laughing. I mean, you already said my name. I don't got like any accolades. You're like, I won a Grammy, I won an Academy Award, the Oscar, Tony Award. Like, ain't nothing really to say except my name and my weight, my height. I don't know, but yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Ain't no blueprint. We just freestyle. We just conversate. Like if it was like somebody you was like, if it was like somebody you was talking to that you didn't know at all, then you probably have to plan for it. But with me, like, we just basically conversating. Like, it could really just be anything at all. So it don't really matter.
I've never had anybody with as low of a voice as Jentry, so I don't know how this is gonna sound. I mean, the microphone should pick it up fine, but I guess we'll see. You're gonna have to enunciate a little bit more.
We're gonna test it out. Yeah.
I mean, we had a few different topics, but I guess something that we always talk about.
I ain't gonna lie, I was at work. Like I remember one time I was talking to somebody and we was arguing about who was better, Zuko or Azula. And it was really making me mad because I was like, Azula's better than Zuko. Like, we was talking about like who's like stronger, like Azula or Zuko. And I was like, Azula is obviously stronger than Zuko. Like, Zuko, all he does is lose. Like, even like in the very first book, like book 1, Water, it's like he captures Aang, but then Aang automatically like escapes. Like, he just escapes from the Fire Nation ship. Like, that's his first L. The first time you see Zuko, he loses.
Well, I guess that's true because a lot of people, this is not the topic, but a lot of people like to point out that like he would have never beat Azula like on the last episode if Katara wasn't there. Yep. So a lot of people point that out, which I'm like, okay, that's kind of fair. Yep. I'm like, that's kind of fair. But I mean, even though we kind of started rewatching it last year or whenever that was, I can't really remember all the fights. So like, I remember when he was like, when Aang went with, like, in the first episode, when they found him in the Southern Water Tribe and they captured him and he like got out pretty easily. Mm-hmm. So I remember that, like, Zuko, but it's funny because like, but Zuko can usually beat everybody else. Like, it's like Aang and Azula, he doesn't really beat, but everybody else he usually can like go toe to toe with. But like, can he beat Katara? Because Katara,
I think that one time there was that I think the invasion on the Northern Water Tribe, Zuko went to go capture Aang, and then Katara was guarding him while he was like meditating, because he was trying to, I think he was meditating to go to like the spirit world or whatever. And then Katara had to protect Aang, and then they was fighting. I think Katara won that.
I don't remember.
I think Katara won that. Like, Zuko always losing. I gotta look it up. I think Katara won that fight.
But though. I don't know if she won that fight. But Zuko ended up getting Aang anyway.
Yeah, she got Aang. He got Aang.
So
I forgot how though.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, we have to rewatch it again because it's funny because I feel like I just rewatched it. Well, I guess it was a year ago now. Dang, quarantine. Because we started like before quarantine started. So that was a while. That's crazy to think that's at least a year ago. But so that's one thing we can argue about. Well, we can't argue about that because I guess I agree. Even though I like Zuko, Azula is just hands down like.
Many, like one thing I will never forget is Azula was fighting Aang, Toph, and Sokka. Like Sokka, he's not a bender, but Sokka is still like, oh, you got to keep your eye on Sokka because he might pull something out we wouldn't even know about. But yeah, he was fighting Aang, Toph, and Sokka at the same time with no powers, with no fire being at all, because that was the day of the eclipse, and they was invading the Fire Nation capital or whatever. I don't think it was the capital, but they was invading something, and Azula was just stalling Toph and Aang and Sokka, and they was like, you're just stalling us, Azula. She was like, no, I'm not, and everything, because they were looking for Ozai, because they were trying to have Aang fight Ozai, but yeah, Azula was taking on Aang, Toph, and Sokka at the same time. No fight.
But Katara wasn't there. If Katara was there, she'd be knocking around. Just kidding. So do we think, again, this is not the topic, do we think that Katara is stronger than Zuko?
Katara is stronger than Zuko. Even at the end of the series, Katara is stronger than Zuko.
Okay.
Zuko's weak.
Do we...
Zuko's sad.
Dang. So do we... Okay, and then... so Katara is stronger than Zuko. Do we think that Katara is stronger than Azula?
Ooh.
That's a real argument. Everybody want to say Zuko versus Azula, but the real argument is because that's hard because
Azula in this series is a top 3 firebender. Azula might be 3. Like Iroh is like my favorite firebender. I think he might be stronger than I said Avatar. He might be stronger than Fire Lord Ozai, which is his brother. But I think Iroh is the strongest firebender in the series. Even though when you see Ozai fight, he fights on the day of Sozin's comet. So of course he's gonna look stronger. You know, he's blasting all the rocks and everything. But I still think Iroh is like the most powerful firebender, like in the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. First is Iroh, then it's Ozai, and then it's Azula, and then Zuko's like Zuko might be like 8 or something. Cause you got
is he below Zhang Zhang?
You got Zhang, and you got Combustion Man, but Zuko can't fight Combustion Man.
No, Zuko better than that. I think you kind of like playing Zuko down a little bit, but you still answer the question.
What's the question?
Do we think Katara is stronger than Azula?
Nah, Azula's legendary. Azula,
but she beat her.
Top 3. She ain't. Okay, Azula, she was nerfed because she was having a mental crisis and her head wasn't even you got to give Azula credit because even though she wasn't in the right headspace, she was going through an identity crisis and she was hallucinating her mom and everything, and then they had to go through it, and Zuko wanted to have an Agni Kai with her, like even though Zuko had a mental barrier which kind of made her weaker, Zuko still couldn't beat Azula. Like even
that is very true.
Azula was, going insane, and Zuko. I said, well, Azula was going insane, and Azula was still, just schooling Zuko. But Katara is a very seasoned waterbender, so of course she's gonna take advantage of that, that mental capping.
Well, I can't remember a time again. Well, I can't really remember a lot of it, but I can't remember a fight where it was Katara and Azula, and both of them when Azula wasn't losing her brain cells. So I can't remember a fight
under the Ba Sing Se capital. The Ba Sing Se. Was it a castle? Well, under the Ba Sing Se, like that little underground crystal cave or whatever, they was fighting, and Aang was fighting Azula. I think Aang was fighting Zuko and Azula at the same time or something. And then Katara was fighting the Dai Li. And then I think Katara might have threw some water at Azula a couple times or whatever. But that was the closest they probably came. Or that time they was in Omashu and they was fighting. Katara and Sokka was fighting Ty Lee. What's her name? Ty Lee. Mm-hmm. Ty Lee and Mai. I think Azula was chasing Aang. Never mind. But I can't remember the time.
I don't think there was one. I think that only happened at the end. I think that last fight is the only time I can remember Katara having an active fight with Azula.
Yeah. But even then, Katara shows, she has, really great feats. The Dai Li are really good, and she squared off against multiple Dai Li agents. Fighting the Dai Li is not easy at all. The Dai Li, they're like a black ops squad of earthbenders. They're very, silent and everything. She was taking on multiple Dai Li agents at the same time. She fought, Ty Lee. She basically fought everybody Aang fought. And, either was tied. If she was going to lose to somebody, she wouldn't lose bad. You could tell Katara was still, parallel or had the potential to beat them. But yeah, Katara is a strong waterbender.
Do we think that Aang only using waterbending and Katara, who wins?
Oh.
Aang can only use waterbending though.
Aang only using waterbending. Katara uses waterbending.
I want to say Katara would still win.
I want to say Katara will still win too, cause Aang be acting like he don't know how to fight sometimes. Aang be
also Aang
the pacifist, but he be acting like he don't know how to fight sometimes.
Also with Aang, like I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure he did, but you know how like, well, if you can use any form of waterbending, like Katara can bloodbend. She can also like freeze the water, and do all those kinds of crazy things, like the way she captured Azula, and like she froze like froze the outside, but then the inside still moved, like all those things. I've never seen Aang do anything that creative with water, so maybe I would still give it. He just kind of does straightforward water bending,
which makes sense because he hasn't been he hasn't been really like he hasn't been earthbending. He hasn't been waterbending like all that long. Like really, Aang is 12 years old. He just got out the iceberg, and like all this stuff happens within a year. So Aang is doing pretty good for what he's been dealt with. He's trying to learn waterbending, earthbending, and firebending, and all within a year. He's doing pretty good, but he's not a seasoned waterbender. He's just he knows the basics and everything. And then sometimes he'll be like. Sometimes you'll see flashes of Aang being a really, really great waterbender, but for the most part, he's just learning about waterbending. So he's not going to be as good as Katara because Katara's been waterbending her whole life. So and then Katara, on top of that, her knowing waterbending her whole life, she was trained by Master Pakun. Is it Pakun or Paco? Pakun. The northern.
Pakun is Naruto. Pakun is a dog on Naruto.
The waterbender in the Northern Water Tribe, where he was like, I don't teach girls waterbending.
I know what you're talking about. I think it's
I don't know if it's Pakun. But yeah, like she's already known waterbending her whole life, and then she's getting trained by an extremely skilled waterbender. He's probably like top 5 waterbenders in the series. So he's like, you getting trained by the best. Plus your previous knowledge of waterbending. Yeah. So Katara is she's probably like a top. She's just top 10 bender in the series.
10?
Top 10 benders.
3.
There's a lot of good benders.
Benders are not just water.
Benders in general.
Oh, okay, I don't know. Well,
who's the best bender in the series?
It's Aang.
Aang might be like 3.
Aang can bend all 4 elements.
I want to say Iroh because one thing I can't say about Iroh is Iroh studied all the elements. He didn't just study fire. He studied the waterbenders and implemented waterbending techniques into his firebending because water and fire are like it's like yin and yang. Like they're opposites, but also they need each other.
If it is either, I don't know who it is. It is either the best bender, like just any bender, is either Iroh or Toph. Because they both kind of like you said, Iroh like studied all the things, and he studied water bending to do lightning bending, and Toph created metal bending and stuff. So I think
she revolutionized the game. Toph
so it's either them. They're like top 2 for sure, and like maybe they tie for number 1. I don't really know who I would put first and who I would put second, but I think it's definitely those 2. Because then like, see, that's the kind of thing like. We don't
People sleep on John.
We don't.
People forget John was flying.
I was gonna say
he was flying on the second to last episode. John was flying with fire. Like he was flying.
Well, I was gonna start talking about Legend of Korra, but I'm not gonna start talking about Legend of Korra.
I was gonna get Legend of Korra because like people hate Korra, and I really like Korra. Like because like I think about it like this. You get Aang. Aang is a pretty good is a prodigy. He's very likable. He's not arrogant, cocky, or anything like that. He's just a boy. Just trying to have fun and just try to help people. But then you get Korra. You get Korra, which is like basically a complete opposite of Aang. Korra is very strong and very independent and wants to just get things right the first time, and she just wants to be good at everything she does the first time. She doesn't like spending the time to really practice stuff. And Aang doesn't really either. He's like he gets frustrated with earthbending because that's his exact opposite. air and earth are like exact opposites. So he had a tough time getting earthbending, but you know, Korra had a tough time getting airbending. So, but like the way she got airbending was dumb. Like she like lost all her powers. But then
there are
but then she got them back because Aang did something weird. I don't know. It's weird.
There are a lot of things I like about Korra and a lot of things I dislike about Korra. I think by the end of it, I was just like, I'm so over this show. So I don't know. Like, it's just, I guess it part of it is on me and part of it is on the creators, because like, I guess a lot of people probably got really excited that they were making a new Avatar to begin with, and so they were maybe expecting something more closely aligned with the original Avatar, something more similar to that, and it was nothing like that. So I think a lot of people got upset with that, and then B, like, some of the writing is just not good. Like, straight up, some of it is just not good. Like
what do you mean writing?
I just mean the way they wrote Korra, and like some of the storylines I just don't like. I just don't care about. Like, for the original Avatar, I would say like most of the characters I like, or I think are written well, or I think have an arc. Like, I think they all, even people who come in for only one episode, like they have a whole arc. But like on Korra, even a lot of the main characters, I'm like, I don't care like that you're here, and I don't care that you exist, and I don't think you're very important, and I just don't like Bolin. I liked because he was like the comic relief, and he was funny because nobody else was funny. And but Bolin like doesn't really matter to the plot. You could get rid of him. You could have Mako be an only child, and nothing much would change. I also don't like Mako that much though, because he's just broody. He's like Zuko, but like less charismatic. Like he
less angry.
But he's just a broody firebender. But like he doesn't have an arc like Zuko does. You know, everybody's the best character development of all time, Zuko. But like Mako doesn't really have that, and like less so Bolin. Like, Bolin is like kind of just there, but like they tie so much of Korra's like identity to Mako in the first couple of seasons that it's a little annoying, because like they didn't do that to Aang. They didn't tie Aang's identity so closely to Katara and him loving Katara. But I feel like a lot, I don't know if it was season 1 or 2, maybe it was 2, where they were just like that whole love triangle thing with Asami and then him and her. I was just like, oh my god, you don't care. And then Korra like going into the police station and like blowing up at Mako and like they're throwing the desk and stuff. I don't know if you remember that episode. I was like, we're really having the Avatar master of all 4 elements fighting over a boy. I was like, man, I don't care about this. It was just such a different take. Yeah. It was just so different than the original Avatar. All that lovey-dovey stuff.
But that's her personality, though. You know, you kind of got to take it for what she's like, who she is.
But I don't necessarily. I mean, I get that. I just don't think it was written well. Like, I get the idea, I just don't like the execution, because I guess it's like, because we get enough of that. We get enough of the love triangles, and we get enough of the boy crazy girl and fighting over the boy, you know, fighting with the boy. We get enough of that. If you don't have a different take on it, don't do it at all. That's kind of how I see it. We got a lot of cartoons. We got a lot of real live action stuff doing those same tropes over and over and over again, and some of them do it well. But if you're not gonna like change it up, switch it up, or like, you know, and they kind of switched it up toward the end, sort of, with her like getting with Asami instead.
That ruined the whole show. that single-handedly ruined the whole
Jentry show. Is a homophobic man.
No, like, okay.
Why do you hate the gays?
I don't. What?
Why do you hate lesbians?
Who chose this direction of the story, the narrative to go this way? Like, okay,
Mako
and Korra break up for some reason. They add another girl to the group, Asami, and then Asami finna go out Mako. They break up. Then we finna put Korra and Asami together. Like,
but do you see? Okay, but besides that, do you see how frustrating it is that a lot of the show has to do with like the love issues between this person and this person?
They should have made Korra gay off rip. Then I would have liked that.
Of what?
Like season 1, episode 1, Korra's gay instead of just
100%. Well, you know what? They say this, but I don't know if I believe them. But the creators said that they waited till the end because Nickelodeon wouldn't have let them. But since they like got cut, you know, I think they were gonna do 4. I don't know if they were gonna do 4 seasons originally or what, but they were like, well, it was the end, so we just kind of threw it in there. And notice they didn't do anything. Like, so I think they were kind of being, you know, limited by what they could do and what they could show. I don't know if that. I still don't know if like Nickelodeon was like, yeah, do it. I still don't know if they would do it. Like, I don't know if they would have had her, you know, be a non-heterosexual from the get-go or what. Yeah. I mean, they say they would have, but who's to say? I think representation is always good, but and part of me was like kind of happy it happened, and then the other part of me was like, well, that was kind of dumb. Like, it was kind of like because like, okay, I don't know if you know that, if you remember, but in one of the first episodes of season 4, the last season, Korra had been gone for years, right? Then she finally comes back, and then she meets up with Asami and Mako, I think, and so they meet up in like a restaurant or whatever, and Korra or Asami hugs her, and she's like, oh, I really like your hair, because she like cut her hair, and then Korra blushes, and I'm like, oh, are they gonna make them a thing? But then nothing happens for the whole show, and then at the end they hold hands. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you can't like so they kind of planted it, like it was kind of there, but at the same time I was like, and that's what I mean by like bad writing.
Awkward, because like, oh, Korra's a straight female, because she was like Mako. But we had never seen Korra with anybody, so we didn't know if she was straight, gay, bi. What we like, there was no. We just assumed. I mean, she had a whole boyfriend.
One boyfriend, and that's the first boy she met outside like her family. That's the first boy she met.
I guess so.
It was. That was her first like real love interest in her life, because she's still relatively young.
Oh, yeah,
she's still relatively young.
I seen an argument where it was like when it comes to our representation, like what's the point of like, I don't even know how he asked or how he even said it, but he was just like, there's like no point of like having like representation in like a show or like a movie if it like doesn't impact the narrative at all. It's just kind of like it's like pandering or whatever. It's like, you know how like like in the Avengers,
things
like,
are very pandering.
Like all like Gamora and like Captain Marvel had like a little like it's like a little like scene where, you know, Captain Marvel and Gamora and Pepper Potts and, you know, all the female Avengers like rescue Peter Parker, and it was like a big old shot of the female Avengers. Like that was people like was like, that's just pandering. Like there was like no point in like showing that, like there like it didn't enhance the story or storyline or narrative at all. It was just kind of put in there to like make, I guess, the female audience feel better about themselves. Like it didn't really add anything at all. It was just, oh, okay, here's for women, go women.
Also, none of those females have their own movie except for Captain Marvel.
But Black Widow, nah.
Not yet. Back then, that wasn't a thing. I mean, like, that's also a thing with Marvel. That whole moment, I was like, wow. But then I was like, wait, what is the point? What is the point of this? I was like, I guess.
By the representation, like, affecting the story. Like, if Korra was gay from the very first season, and then, like, by, like, her being gay affecting the story, like, her parents could, like, maybe be, like, homophobic. I know, like, Nickelodeon went there, like, would, like, never go that route. Like, what if, like, oh, like, Korra's gay and like her parents are like that, so they send her to Tenzin to live with Tenzin, because Tenzin is like, Airbenders are like very loving people, and so they don't even care what you are, because they're Airbenders. They're all about peace and love.
Well,
so we're gonna send you to Tenzin.
See, this is where it gets
that affects the storyline.
This is where it gets very difficult, because again, I don't like with any other show. Yeah, 100% you can do that, but with Avatar, I don't too much want to do that, because Avatar is about spirituality and finding yourself, and and this is part of finding yourself, but like it's more about, you know, it's like I like the spiritual aspect of it, and like with the working together and fighting with a team and fighting for the greater good and fighting against the common enemy. And then when you put like, it's hard to balance that main narrative with like a subplot of love stuff. Like it's hard to balance. It's already hard to balance that, because I was gonna say like you could have Korra discovering it over time. So if you plant the seeds early and then you build on those seeds and they grow, by the, you know, maybe by the second or third season she realizes maybe I'm not completely straight. But that can be a discovery thing. You don't have to like, I'm out and da 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 at the very beginning. You can have that be a growth thing, right? Because it's all character development. It's all part of the character development. And or you could even have like, you can establish, because it's never really established in the oh yeah, it kind of is with Paco, whatever his name is, and he's like, I don't teach women, right? So you can already tell there's some kind of like conservative, traditional values in the water tribe. So you can have like Korra be like, well, you know, we're traditional values and stuff, and like it's kind of, she doesn't know if her parents will accept her, so she just doesn't say anything. And then you can have her, like you said, like move to Capital City and like live with Tenzin, and the Earthbenders, they're all loving and open and they don't care. Republic City, sorry. What's Capital City? What's that from?
Sound like some DC.
It might be. It might be. It might be. Okay, yeah, I don't remember, but Republic City, and so she goes there and she really. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in a couple years, but then she goes there and then she realizes like, oh, maybe I can be who I am here because nobody from home is gonna be watching me, and like, you know, and then she meets Asami or some, you know, whoever, doesn't have to be Asami, but like it could even go from there. You could plant the seeds early, and maybe she still doesn't say anything till a season later, but like,
yeah. But I think like the Avatar universe is like it's not childish, but it's not that kind of show where it's just like we're talking about. I mean, they be talking about adult stuff like, you know, not teaching women waterbending, and like even like in Korra, like the first or second episode, she goes to Republic City, and like a guy's like, no benders, like it's kind of like racist or kind of like, yeah. So they're talking about mature things, but like the Avatar universe hasn't really been like a universe to like discuss like sexuality like that.
But so. Korra, but I don't know about discussing it, but sexuality is expressed in the show. Nobody is sexless. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah. Sokka got Suki and Zuko got Mai, and like,
so they definitely like have characters who love other characters and they date and they like each other. Like that is all expressed. So if that's okay, then why is a girl liking another girl, a guy liking another guy not children friendly? Or not something that they can have in the show.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they already have a guy. What is if you don't want to sexualize anything, okay, that's fine. Have nobody date anybody, right? You know, because one is not less or more kid friendly than the other.
Yeah, that's something you gotta ask corporate Nickelodeon.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, that's the conversation we've been having for years and years. How come heterosexuality is kid friendly, but heterosexuality is not? Because in my mind, if like I'm watching a kid show, there shouldn't be no kissing, hugging. This is for kids, and we can stick with that. I don't want you pressing any kind of sexuality with my kid to begin with, because like I don't want them learning that from TV. I don't care what they are.
That's an interesting discussion.
Depending on how young they are.
Oh, you're a kid, and so depending on how you was raised, you have a mama, you have a dad, and so you seeing a couple, a girl and a girl kiss, or a boy and a boy kiss, like that's not what you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing mommy and daddy kiss or whatever. Or like a mom and a dad, a female and a male be together.
But so. Yes, that's true. But I still think that's very different. I still think knowing your mom and dad, seeing your mom and dad peck on the lips or whatever is different than seeing people make out on TV, or like seeing characters like, you know, have love interest on TV. I think it's a little different because I don't know. I just see that as being different, but yeah, that is a whole other discussion to have, how they decide what's appropriate on kids TV.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how come they don't like show like any gay characters like that in like cartoons or kids stuff like that.
They are like trying to be more progressive on some channels. It just depends on what channel you watch.
I kind of think it's because like kids don't really care about like gay representation like that. We're just kids. Like,
I don't think kids, but then you could also say kids don't care about straight representation. So why have that there? Yeah. It really does go both ways, because like,
it's because like the main demographic is kids. And so you're not gonna see a 9-year-old kid on Twitter talking about some, I want gay representation like in Korra, like kids.
But it
like,
shouldn't. But it shouldn't take like people complaining for it to happen. If they're only doing it because they know people watching it will complain, that's not necessarily a reason to do it. It's more just like normalizing, like you said. Okay, like you said, like, okay, you see mommy and daddy kissing, so you think that's normal. So then you see guy girl kissing on TV, that's normal. Well, if we were to normalize non-heterosexual relationships on TV, if we were to put that on TV, it wouldn't be weird anymore. Like, because people do have mommies and mommies, people do have daddies and daddies. That is their reality. So like we're already like kind of making those kids feel weird because we're never showing like their type of family on TV, and we're saying your family's weird.
I feel like I feel like if anything, if you show more like gay stuff in like cartoons and everything, like kids can like be more educated, because like they don't really educate kids on like just like sexuality like on an early age.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily.
Like, it's not a taboo thing to talk about gay relationships. It's just. It's a way of life. Like, it's just the way of life. What you prefer.
I think it's just for so long. people, it just
like I realize like we're trying to shelter kids and like try to tell kids, this is a very like nice world, and there's like we want our kids to have the best life possible. We don't want any negativity around them. We don't want like any like just any like negativity around them. So I guess we try to shelter them and protect them from like I guess like stuff or just I don't even know.
Well, to go back to the other thing, like it for a long time, like homosexuality used to be seen as like a mental disorder. And then it was seen as like deviancy, and then it was seen as like then in the 80s AIDS hit, and it was called the gay disease. So it was like, this is your punishment for being gay. That's what people were saying. And so like your punishment for being gay is AIDS. But I'm like, okay, but anybody can get AIDS. So but at the time it was drastically affecting the gay community. So that's why they slowed down like their attempts to find a vaccine and their attempts to like help people who were suffering from it, because it was like a relatively new disease to America. Like they didn't really know what it was or how to help with it or whatnot, and they were just like, well, we're not gonna really do anything about it because it's affecting the gays and we don't care about them. So I think for just a long time it was just seen as a very what's the word group that you could just like do without. They don't really care about them. Very disposable. They saw them. That's the word I was looking for. They're just very disposable. And like, I mean,
gay people.
Yeah.
I never really did understood like just gay discrimination. It's like you liking somebody. It's just it's just like a minuscule part of your life. Like
yeah.
Like why do you like really care? Like
why does anybody care that much? And like I think honestly it's just people just I don't know, but. Especially like a long time ago, our ancestors, whatever you want to call them, like just made such a big deal of it. Like it just it's almost was blown out of proportion how big of a deal that was. And it was less so, it was more so just gay people having to fight for like equal rights, kind of like how black people have to do. Like it's like, why is this a thing that I'm having to do in my life? But it just is, because people who are in power say that I'm not right for doing this thing. I don't know.
It's just funny how like you can see like a normal like straight couple just walking down the street. You see like a gay couple, and like some people just get mad over that idea. It's like they're not bothering you, they're not talking to you, they're not doing anything to you, but you just mad at them. Like why? Like why does it bother you?
Well, I think because also this country was founded on A, racism, and B like religion. So, like, when people first came here, it was for, to escape religious prosecution. And, so a lot of people were, like, very strictly, not Christian, but, but whatever religion, whatever they called it at the time. And so that's kind of how things were built. And even though we put in the Constitution, separation of church and state, it's never really been treated like that. This is, like, America is almost a theocracy. I would say less so now. But like back in the day, I would say it was just a lot of rules were founded on Christian principles.
Yeah, people will always be like, and the Bible says, you can't be gay, or whatever. But like, and like it's a sin, but really everybody sins. So why does like, and like I think like in the Bible says all sins are the same. Like ain't no sin greater than one other sin. So it's like when people are like, you shouldn't be gay, it's a sin or whatever. Like. Okay, like I'm pretty sure you sin too. You probably drink a whole bunch of alcohol, or like nobody.
Are you drunk?
Nobody's perfect. Is what I'm trying to say.
No, so yeah.
Like if anything, I should be mad at. Like if you could be mad, I don't know. Like people, reasonings are.
I have heard people interpret the Bible very differently.
Religion isn't a valid. Religion isn't a valid statement to make as to why you shouldn't be gay, because everybody really, if it's a sin, everybody sins.
I've also heard different interpretations of the Bible, and that's another issue. Is the Bible is some things are very obvious and concrete, and some things are very very like this is what it is, but some things are very like we have to also understand it wasn't written in modern day. So these are people who are not having to go, like, they don't have the things that we have, or like they don't have the experiences that we have, and they write things. There's some things in the Bible that are written very cryptically. It's like, what are you trying to say here? And so of course everybody's going to have a different interpretation. Baptists think differently than Pentecostals. Pentecostals think differently than Presbyterians. So if we as Christians can't even agree on how the Bible is interpreted, then like why are we applying that to the rest of the world? Like, we can't even get on the same footing. We can't even agree on the same thing, because there's some Christians who say like, no, there's nothing in the Bible about gay is bad, and then some Christians are like, yes, it's right here, obviously it's right here, and some people are like, no, that's not what that means. And then some people have like gone and done like historical studies of like, well, they actually meant this when they were talking. So it's like everybody kind of has a different perspective on it. So I'm like, well, how are we supposed to really know? And then it's like, love thy neighbor. Okay, well, does that not apply? Does it say anywhere love thy neighbor except this, and this? Or like, and if God's supposed to love everybody, does it say that he loves everybody except this, and this? And then, but then like, they're also like, Jesus was hanging out with the lepers and the prostitutes. He would hang out with people nobody else would hang out with. He was hanging out with the persecuted. People saw, he would hang out with people who other people saw as like the scum of the earth, less than, because, you know, for whatever reason. That's who Jesus was hanging out with. Jesus was a radical. Like, Jesus was a radical. He was. Interpret the Bible however you want. Jesus was a radical. He really was. That's why a lot of people say like, oh, Jesus came back, like he was walking the earth right now. You wouldn't even know who he was. You know, you wouldn't even like, you would maybe turn him away. He would look like an immigrant, and you would turn him away because whatever. Like, people wouldn't really like know. They you know, I know Jesus in my heart, but like if you really met him, you wouldn't know. Like, it wouldn't click in your mind like, oh yeah, you're the Lord. Like, you know, even if he was like right in front of you. And so that's why I'm like, I don't know how we got off on this tangent about like gay representation in the media, but like, something's in my eyeballs.
Moral of the story is, everyone, treat people the way you would love to be treated.
Yep.
So
that is the main.
Love and respect. Treat that same person with love and respect.
And when Jesus went to the temple, who he threw out first? The people who collect the money. He said, y'all greedy, get out of here. He took all. He said all them people. He said, y'all greedy, and y'all having people come to church to get their money. Nah. And then the Catholic Church did that too for a long time. They said, if you pay us this amount of money, you go to heaven, because, like, you're paying for your sins or whatever. It's just like, and it's just organized religion. And I should differentiate. It's just organized religion has had so much like. It just has so much blood on its hands from history, and I think people who like are spiritual and love Jesus and whatever, like, I think should differentiate themselves from people who are really into organized religion.
And this is where, you know, religion kind of falls apart. It's not reliable. This is where aliens come.
This is where the aliens come.
This is where the aliens come.
Oh, we are not gonna talk about Gentry's conspiracy theories on this podcast. See, if Gentry ever wants to talk about his alien conspiracies,
the Book of Eli, all right,
he's gonna have to get on his own podcast.
Washington, Gary Owen, all right. The book of
no,
basically the Bible. The Bible is the most powerful weapon in the world. The Bible is used.
I'm cutting this part out. I'm cutting this whole part out. Gentry.
It's the movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Like, I'm not making this stuff up. Like, the Book of Eli,
I know
is about the Bible and how it's the most powerful weapon in the world, and it's used to control people. If you got the Bible, you can control anybody you want, because they'll, you know, do whatever you say. Oh, God says do this, they'll do that. You know. So
let's talk about.
I'm gonna talk about why Korra isn't a bad avatar at all. Because people hate Korra.
All right, coming back around.
Yeah, making a full U-turn. Korra isn't a bad avatar because you got to compare Korra to Avatar. All right, I mean, I said Korra to Avatar. You got to compare Korra to Aang, right? Because one thing people like, one big, it's the biggest variable are the villains. So, and like with the Korra, the narrative style is like very anime style, which is like in arcs. So in like season 1, you got the Amon arc. Season 2, you got the what's Unalaq or Tarlok arc. Season 3, you got the Zahir arc, and season 4, you got the Kuvira arc. So those are 4 really powerful villains. Who are the villains in Aang's storyline?
Those are,
it's like General Zhao. You got General Zhao. You got Azula. You got Zuko. You got Combustion Man. You got Ozai.
But I would say
General Zhao is weak.
But I would say
Zuko's weak.
I would say that, yeah, I guess Zuko's a villain up until he's not. But I would say that the first Avatar is less so focused on villains and more so focused on just Aang's journey. Yeah. Whereas Korra is more focused on the villains and like sort of kind of her journey to spiritual enlightenment and discovery and all those things. So it's kind of different. They both have different goals.
Yeah. And so like with Korra, like Aang is a very powerful avatar. Korra is also a very powerful avatar, but Korra's villains are really, really strong. You're going up against Amon, who could temporarily take bending away, and you're going up against, I think it's Tarlok. I forgot. I get mixed up with Unalak and Tarlok. But him, he's a very skilled waterbender, but he's also very skilled with the spirits. So he knows what's going on in the spirit world, and he taps into the spirits, and you get the dark avatar and everything. And then you got Zahir, which is my favorite avatar villain. Like Zahir was just the pure anarchist, he believes there's there shouldn't be order. Like, what is it? There's order out of chaos or whatever. Like the Red Lotus, Zahir was a monster, and you got Kuvera. Like, those are really, really strong villains that Korra had to go up against, and Korra was still learning how to master pretty much all the 4 elements. So I would give Korra her credit because she did pretty good for what she was dealt with. Like, her villains are really hard to go up against. I feel like if Aang would have went up against the same villains, Aang would have got. Kuvera, Zahir, Amon, like Korra did. Like,
please watch your language on the podcast. Please watch what you say on the podcast.
Aang would have got taught a lesson because Aang's a 12-year-old boy. He would have got taught a lesson by them, but. Korra did a pretty good job for what she was dealt with. I'll give Korra that. So people shouldn't really be hating Korra like that because, like I said, the villains are hard to go up against. Aang had General Zhao, Zuko, Combustion Man, Ozai, the Dai Li, Long Fang.
Yeah.
Pretty, Korra can handle them. But Korra, Aang couldn't handle Korra's villains. Like, Korra's villains are insane.
I think Aang, that's hard to say. I want to say Aang could have handled the Unalak, whatever that guy's name is. I think he could have handled him because that season is more so very spirit world heavy. And I think if Aang has nothing over Korra, he has the spirit element over her. He is probably one of the best. And maybe that's his air bending upbringing, but he seemed like he was much more connected to the spirit world than Korra was. And he had, because Korra had some issues with the spirits. Korra was always having issues with the spirits, and so yeah, I think, I don't know. So Aang going up against Zahir, I don't know. That's hard. Zahir was hard.
Even a bender until the harmonic convergence, and then all of them airbenders started showing up on the earth and everything. And Zahir also became an airbender, and so he wasn't even a bender. Got airbending the first day, escaped maximum security prison, escaped it just using airbending. Mm-hmm. And airbending isn't really an offensive element. It's more about evading and dodging, and just being light on your feet. You can't really be on the offensive.
You know what I would have done? Also, what I would have maybe done with Korra is, I felt like with Korra they were spending too much time on other characters. For instance, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have Aang, Katara, and Sokka for the most part, right? And then Toph comes in later, and they're kind of the main group. And we focus on them as a group a lot. And Aang has his whole thing going on. They all kind of have their own thing going on, but we focus on them as a group a lot. But I feel like with Korra, they focus a little on Korra, then they focus a little on Mako, and then they kind of focus on Bolin, and then they focus on Asami a little bit. But then they also focus on Tenzin. But then they also focus on, what's the Tenzin's brother? Boomy. And then they also kind of focus on... So it's kind of sometimes I feel like they're spreading themselves too thin sometimes. But maybe if they would just focus... I don't know if that would help much because I don't like Mako. So I don't know if that would even really help. Honestly, I would. He's kind of just there. I would get rid of that. I would just get rid of Mako. I would maybe keep Bolin because he's a little more tolerable. But you don't even really need Bolin because you already have a comic relief in Varric, who I think is the best comic relief in the show. So funny. Oh my, Julie, Julie, do the thing. Do the thing, Julie. It is so. Varric is was hands down the biggest surprise of the show because I did not expect him to be that good. When he first shows up,
there's a theory that Varric's like Sokka's son. But I don't think Varric's Sokka's son.
But wouldn't they know that?
I don't know.
Unless Sokka had a secret son.
I don't know. They're saying Sokka married Toph, but
no.
Yeah,
no.
That's not true at all.
That'd be weird.
Because the only evidence they had was that time on the Serpent's Pass where Toph thought Sokka saved him, but and like kissed Sokka and like kind of blushed, but but it was Suki, but like she kissed Sokka. That's like the only like indicator that we have that she had feelings for Sokka. But besides that, like, nah, pretty far fetched.
I mean, who knows what Sokka? Because they don't ever like show pictures of Suki or nobody else like in the future. So who knows what happened with Suki?
They said there was like in like a little comic book, because they have like little comics after Avatar: The Last Airbender. They said like Suki, like Zuko, like almost had like a little thing. Like, yeah, it was weird. Like Zuko,
they just wilding out in the books.
Like, I don't like them. I hate that they kind of like expanded everything in the books, because like everything in the books is like it's like it's so far fetched. Like with like because like they went
the books have their hits and misses though, because I think that the series with them finding Zuko's mom, I liked it because I like that closure.
That's weird.
I like the closure.
Did it like I liked it, but they did it weird, like because like she got because like
Lost her memory.
Ozai banished her, Ursa, and she went to her home, her old home village, and she like got burnt, like she wiped her memories and got like a new face and everything. Like I think that was just too much. Like
there is a lot, yeah. There, but it is Avatar, and they do have weird spirit stuff, and like it's like I get it.
They do too much weird stuff in the books though. Like Avatar's weird, but the books is like you're losing your memories, you're getting your face changed, you get your face changed again. Like it's like a lot of.
Well, I feel like I think they were like they wanted to do those kinds of weird things, but you know, in TV you can only do so much on TV, especially with a limited amount of time. But with a book, you can kind of just throw all the weird things you want. I'm not saying this good or bad, but I'm saying they were probably like, oh, we're just doing the books now, so we can kind of do whatever we want, and we kind of can go kind of crazy. Because I'm wondering if while they were writing the show, did they have an idea of what they were going to do with Zuko's mom, or they had no idea? And then when Avatar ended, and the Dark Horse was like, "Do you want to make us a book series?" And they were like, "Well, we got to think of something for Zuko's mom." And then they just thought of that. Like, I'm wondering if they had always had the idea, or if it just like they just made it up, when they decided to write the book. So like, I don't know about that.
I wish they would have came up with something better than just her going back to her, like she can go back to her home village, like her old town, but like her.
I think that's
finding a new husband, and her like just.
I think her running back to her home village is fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
But everything else is weird.
It's too much, too extra. Like just calm down.
Well, I thought we were gonna talk about Marvel, but I guess we talked about Avatar. So I guess next time we talk about DC and Marvel.
I mean, we talk about it for a little bit. I don't know if you want to talk about we can talk about Black Widow, but Black Widow is like R.I.P. that movie. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Actually, we'll do that. We can do that another week. We can do that another week because I want to talk about a little bit about Marvel and like what's gonna happen with them in the future, and a little bit about like, can the DCEU be saved? See, and that
only thing that could save the DCEU is Flashpoint.
Okay, but save that. Okay, but save that. We can do that for another episode. So on another episode where
all right, Flashpoint can save it.
Gentry, what did I say?
Only people that can save it is Flashpoint, Margot Robbie, and Gal Gadot. Those are the three chances. If Gal Gadot or Margot Robbie leave that universe, maybe Zachary Levi, but Shazam's weird. I don't know, but you need Gal Gadot, and you need Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. You will never ever find another Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn, just like Robert Downey is Iron Man. Like that's Harley Quinn forever. Like that's the.
And you know what's really funny? When they first cast her, I was like, huh? Like a lot of I will give the DCU one thing. I always say this. They might have everything wrong, but the casting, they do very well. And the casting usually they do very well, because I like Gal Gadot and I like Margot Robbie, and I even liked Will Smith as Deathshot, even though he's not coming back. And Henry Cavill looks like a Superman. Yeah. If they would write him right, it would be really good. And well, Ben Affleck, he gone, but like he looked like a Batman. He looked like an old Bruce Wayne. And so like I was really excited for all that, but they just write them really poorly. But we're gonna save that for the next time, and I'll talk about my ways the DCU can be saved, because I do think Gentry is right, because I do think you need Margot Robbie, and I think you need Gal Gadot, and then maybe Flashpoint, but I do think it could be saved. It would take a long time. I would say my plan to fix it would be a lot of recasting and like a lot of starting over, which I don't know if they would necessarily want to do. But my plan involves a lot of starting over. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode, and we'll catch you next time. I think my Friday episodes are going to be like Film Fridays, But I only call it that. It'll be like TV and movies, but I'll just call it Film Fridays. Okay, bye. Say bye, Gentry.
Yeah.
All right, bye. I just want to apologize for the loudness that you may have experienced in this episode. I should have done a headphone warning at the beginning of the episode, but I forgot because we're very we're very loud, and I have one mic, so we're both screaming into this one mic. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed Film Friday this week. I hope you liked our Avatar talk and our weird tangent into organized religion. I apologize if that was a weird one, but it was a very interesting conversation nonetheless. So that's it for this week. Catch me this upcoming Tuesday where we talk about something, maybe impeachment. We'll see how I'm feeling on Monday. We'll see how I'm feeling on Monday if I want to talk about impeachment or not. I haven't decided, but peace out and stay frosty.